Hey guys, it's Destiny, and in today's video, I'm going to be telling you whether or not the free-to-play characters in Honkai Star Rail are good characters, or if they're just kinda whatever. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. So there are multiple free-to-play characters you do get while playing through the story in Honkai Star Rail, some of which being March 7th, Dan Heng, Asta, and so on. And I'm going to be going over briefly all of these characters, at least most of them, and I'll be letting you guys know if I personally think the 4 stars are good in this game, or rather the free-to-play 4 stars. And let's get straight into that. So we're going to start off with March 7th. March 7th is a character that, in my opinion, is probably one of the best free-to-play characters by far. The reason why I say this is because she is the Path of Preservation, which is typically a defensive class for your team, and she is also the Ice element. March 7th is able to give shields to your teammates, and she is also able to freeze enemies. Freezing enemies is very, very important in this game, as status ailments on enemies always help out, especially in tougher battles. Being able to freeze enemies can technically skip their turn if they thaw out and then they are not able to move. And also freezing them can also inflict frostbite, which frostbite is technically a DOT, which is damage over time. I have seen it a few times. I'm not 100% sure if it is caused by March 7th herself, but frostbite does exist in the game, and they take tick damage as turns go on. And overall, March 7th is an amazing defensive character, as when you do her skill, instead of attacking enemies, she's able to give a shield to your teammates. And when enemies attack a character that have a shield, March 7th will actually counter attack them right after they attack you. So basically, she can do a bit of damage, just a little bit, because March 7th does not do too much damage herself. She's very defensive though, but you know, she could still get that counter attack off, do a little bit of tick damage, and call it a day with that. But overall, March 7th is an amazing character for her utility. You get her quite literally, I would say, within 30 minutes of playing the game, as she is one of the starter characters, as she is one of the characters that are with you on your journey throughout the game. Additionally, if you are enjoying the video so far and want to support the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and let's carry on. Another character that is with you in your journey throughout the game is Dan Heng. Dan Heng is a wind element character. He's part of the hunt, and his priority is basically to do damage. Personally, I don't think Dan Heng is incredibly powerful for a character that is part of the hunt, because most of the hunt characters are really, really strong in their DPS capabilities, but I feel like Dan Heng was just kind of okay. He's definitely not a bad character though, if you are looking for a wind character, but overall, I would say he's alright. I don't like him too much personally. I would probably use somebody else, but Dan Heng is one of the free characters you get who is part of the wind element, so he definitely will be useful as you play through the game, and if you are fighting somebody who has a weakness to wind, he's really good for that. Next up, we're going to be talking about Asta. Asta is another character you meet throughout the story, and her path is the Harmony. Asta is more so a buffer character, and she's also the fire element. Personally, I really like Asta as she is able to increase the speed of teammates. And if you pair her with this certain, I believe it's a 3-star light cone, which is basically weapons in this game. So Asta is overall a really, really nice buffer, and she can also, once again, when she does her ultimate, she's actually able to increase the speed of all your teammates. Increasing speed is really good, as if your speed is high enough, you can actually attack twice within a turn, or be able to attack basically numerous times. This will be really good for really fast DPS characters. So overall, Asta is a really nice buffer, and she is a fire element character, as I've mentioned prior. So if you are fighting an enemy that is weak to fire, Asta is going to be really, really good for that. She is also a really nice character to have on your team. Next up, we have Herta. Herta is another character that you get throughout the story, and it's mainly in CBT3 that I noticed you can get Herta and Natasha. But with Herta, she is part of the Erudition class, and Herta is really good at damaging multiple targets, and she is also the ice element, similarly to March 7th. Herta can do a decent amount of damage. I personally also don't think, she's super, super strong, but I would say she's honestly not that bad, like at all. I would probably use her over Dan Heng in my opinion, especially because Herta can attack multiple enemies instead of just one enemy. So I feel like Herta's pretty nice. She's also a really cute character, so I'm personally a big fan of her design, and I really like Herta's personality throughout the story. But overall, Herta's main purpose is just to do damage to multiple enemies, and I would say she is good for that purpose. Next up, we have Natasha. Natasha is part of the Abundance, and I feel like Natasha is also one of the best free-to-play characters that we get throughout the story. Natasha is a physical healer character, so this is going to be your first free healer throughout the game, assuming that they don't change much from the closed beta 3 to the final version. But Natasha is able to heal your teammates, which I think is incredibly crucial in the game. You would either want a healer or a shielder on your team, so if you are not a big fan of Natasha's heals with her ultimate and her skill, because both of her ultimate and her skill do heal you, if you are not a fan of that, then you can just use March 7th and her shields. Personally, I think both have their purposes. If you prefer heals, go with Natasha, because March 7th can't actually heal you until I think she's about C6, if I'm not mistaken. I think March 7th, yeah, C6. I'm pretty sure she's able to start healing at that point, but that's a C6 character instead of the free-to-play base character. But with Natasha, she's able to heal, so if you're, once again, a bigger fan of healing, then Natasha will be awesome for that purpose. Another character you get for free, assuming that we hit the pre-registration rewards, is Servall. Servall is an erudition character as well, and she is the lightning element. Servall is honestly a really good character due to the fact that she can inflict DOT, which is damage over time. Servall is able to hit a lot of enemies, or rather all the enemies on screen. She's able to inflict a lot of damage on a lot of enemies at once. She's also able to inflict shock, which shock is basically the DOT I mentioned prior, and shock does tick damage after every turn for a few turns. Overall, I've been having a lot of fun with Servall. I think she's an amazing character, and I really do hope that even if we don't hit the pre-registration rewards of, I believe it's 5 million, we hopefully will get Servall regardless, because in the closed beta 3, we do get Servall in the beta. So I'm hoping that we get her on launch as well, because Servall is definitely a really good character for those who are free to play and do want to have a good damage dealer. So Servall, definitely, in my opinion, I would say Servall. For me, I prefer over Herta and Dan Heng, and I like the fact that she can damage multiple enemies, the fact that she has DOT. Let's say they still have their toughness meter up, which is the white meter above their health bar. They will still be taking damage through the toughness meter. So while DOT does not tick their toughness meter, it ticks their health meter, which I honestly think is actually better, since you'll still be able to do damage to enemies passively throughout turns with that, instead of having to break the toughness meter if you are struggling to break like a really large toughness meter, because some enemies will have very bulky toughness meters. But let's just say you're able to inflict DOT with multiple characters, that fight will definitely be easier with characters like that. Lastly, we have one more character to talk about. I actually have no idea how to say her name, and I'm so scared to butcher it that I'm just going to show her on screen. And if anyone knows how to pronounce her name, please let me know. But she is a quantum character, and what she is able to do is quite a few things. She's actually a gambler character, which I thought was very interesting. She draws tiles, and she can hold up to 4 tiles at once. If 4 of the tiles are the same suit that she is holding, she will enter the concealed Kong state, which buffs her attack and enhances her basic attacks. The state will end when an enhanced basic attack is performed. But essentially, what she is able to do is do a lot of damage at once with this, which I think is great, as she can also, with her skills, increase her damage. And overall, she's just a really strong character because of that. A gamble character is quite interesting, as well as it's very RNG based on how much damage you're actually going to be doing with her. But overall, I think she's a cool character, cool concept as well, and she is a quantum element. So you are getting a lot of characters of different elements throughout the story. And of course, let me not forget the one and only main character. The MC, in my opinion, isn't too bad. I feel like the MC is better when they are the fire MC, as they become a really good, I believe they become a defender character as well. They become really good as the fire MC. Physical MC isn't too bad either though. So overall, MC as well is a pretty nice character to have on your team. You are able to switch between elements, and when the MC changes their element, they are also changing their class. So let's say they went from physical MC, I believe, is destruction, which I believe is an all-rounder class. And when they become the fire MC, if I'm not mistaken, they switch to preservation, which is the same class as March 7th, which is a defender class. But overall, I feel like that's a really cool thing as well, due to the fact that MC can be very valuable, due to the fact that you could change your elements, you could change your classes with the element, You can't pick the class you get with the element, but still you are still changing basically what MC does entirely with the new element, which I think is pretty cool because then depending on which 4 stars or 5 stars you get, you want to use MC. You can figure out ways to fit MC on your team depending on what element you want MC to be. So yeah, I hope this video though helped you guys out. Let me know in the comments down below if it did, and which free-to-play character do you like the most? Personally, my favorite is by far March 7th. She's such a quirky, funny character throughout the story, and I just love having her on the team. I think she is really good, especially with the freeze, the shields, and so on. And I hope all of you did enjoy this video once again. And if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment as well. And I hope all of you have a nice one. Peace.